Yes guys, what's going on? Welcome to AdamMcKola TV. We are back, and in this video we will be looking ahead to Newcastle against Manchester United, the return of Premier League football after the international break, and the return of Manchester United as well after that 6-1 defeat against Spurs. And the international break came at a great time for Manchester United. It was probably a good time for some of those players to go away from the camp, go away from Carrington, get a little bit sharper, get a little bit more match fitness into their legs playing for their countries, and maybe get a little bit of a break as well, a mental break from the whirlwind of Manchester United at the moment. Obviously it would have been nice if we could have played a game 3 days later, won and got straight back at it, but the way we were playing at that time, I think the international break probably came at a good time, which rarely happens at the start of a season. That 6-1 battering for Manchester United wasn't nice at all. Now you can look at the red card, but you know, Manchester United performed badly, and that's to be kind. After we went 1-0 up, you thought we'd made the perfect start. Defensively fell apart, individual errors we know, and then when we went down to 10 men, I thought it was naivety from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in terms of continuing that press, continuing to leave holes in the team, and continuing to make it so easy for Spurs to pick us off, break us off and score more goals. It got embarrassing on the day, and we need to bounce back, not only for the points but also for morale, confidence, for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as well. The pressure will well and truly build if we don't get a result here against Newcastle, especially with some of the fixtures that we do have coming up in the Champions League against Paris Saint-Germain, for example, and of course in the Premier League as well. Between that defeat against Spurs and of course the international break, we saw a flurry of deadline day activity, which saw Edinson, Cavani, Pellistri, Facundo Pellistri and Alex Telles joining Donny van der Beek as Manchester United's summer transfer signings. We also sealed a deal for Amad Diallo Traore as well, but he doesn't join the club until January, so he doesn't really come into consideration for this video. Anthony Martial was sent off against Spurs, and he will miss 3 games in the Premier League now, which isn't great for Manchester United at all, especially when you look at you know, the position that he plays in. We don't have much strength in depth. We did though buy Edinson Cavani, or bring Edinson Cavani in on a free transfer, but he looks set to miss this, as well as he's due in for quarantine now. He's available on a free. I could have seen a way of avoiding this if we brought him in a little bit earlier and allowed him to quarantine earlier. But obviously United don't do business sensibly, and he came in on deadline day, and because he's quarantining, that means he won't be able to make his debut for Manchester United until that Paris Saint-Germain game. AdamMcKola doesn't seem to be being trusted by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now, some of the performances we've seen from AdamMcKola haven't been great in recent times, but you could say he's one of those as well that needs fitness, needs sharpness, hasn't had a pre-season and needs something to get going. But you saw a little bit of a dip in form towards the back end of last season as well, and in the Europa League. So he doesn't seem to be trusted by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at this moment in time. Now, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer usually goes with a 4-2-3-1, and this is how it could look against Newcastle. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer usually goes with a 4-2-3-1, and as you can see on the screen, if we were to play that, I'd go with this kind of team. David De Gea in between the sticks, Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Alex Telles making his debut for Manchester United. I thought Luke Shaw, he wasn't the only one. And there's some players here that had a bad game, but they're still in the starting lineup, but you can't drop everybody. I thought Luke Shaw's positioning was absolutely woeful against Spurs, and he needed to be a lot better. Now Alex Telles coming in, hopefully, you know, he can enjoy a good game, a good start, and provide some competition for Luke Shaw, which will hopefully sharpen his focus and sharpen his performances as well. Obviously Maguire, Beek, Wan-Bissaka, they didn't play great either. My thinking behind keeping Maguire and Beek together is that we get to see them hopefully build some sort of partnership in there. I don't think Lindelof was entirely to blame for our defensive woes, but let's see what they can do, and I don't think Beek was to blame, and we're very, very unlikely to see Maguire taken out of the team. Wan-Bissaka at right back. In that midfield area, I've gone with Donny van der Beek and Paul Pogba, with Mata, Bruno, Rashford and Mason Greenwood ahead of him. Obviously without having you know, Anthony Martial, no Edinson Cavani available. Facundo Pellistri could be in the squad, but I think it's way too early to see him come in. And whenever we have seen Juan Mata play, even though that right wing isn't his ideal position, and the opposition were Luton on the second string Brighton, Mata has performed well, and I think he plays well with the likes of Van der Beek, Mata, Bruno, we need to keep possession. We need to keep possession, and I think this is a team that can look after the ball well, keep possession of the ball, and hopefully build up some attacks as well for Marcus Rashford and Mason Greenwood. Mason Greenwood isn't going to have the ability, of course he is good enough to hold the ball up and play in that 9 position, but he's not going to have the same ability as Anthony Martial does. We've seen it took a little bit of time for Martial to get used to playing in the 9 position again. But I'd go with Mason Greenwood in that forward position with Mata, Bruno and Rashford behind him if we went with that 4-2-3-1. I think that's a pretty strong team, and it would be good in keeping the ball, and that's something we didn't do well enough against Spurs, and I think all of those players on there look after the ball quite well. But I do think there's a way Manchester United could build up a little bit better against Newcastle, and this is with a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-1-2 or whatever you want to call it. But I'd go with De Gea, play all 3 of your centre halves in Maguire, Bailly and Lindelof. You give them all a little bit more protection, all a little bit more cover. When your wing backs get forward or your full backs get forward in a 4-2-3-1, obviously they're a little bit more exposed, and with the midfield options that we have, I don't think Matic starts this one. You know, you could argue none of the rest of them, McTominay, Fred, Van der Beek, yes, they can play 6, but they're not like a Matic number 6 that's going to make sure that defence is protected. So I would go with the 3 centre halves, Wan-Bissaka, Alex Telles as your wing backs. In that midfield area, Donny van der Beek and Paul Pogba. Bruno just ahead of them. In behind, Marcus Rashford and Mason Greenwood. That would be the team that I would go with against Newcastle United in this game. I genuinely think we could offer more protection to that back three by having a defensive three centre halves there. I think Lindelof looks better in a 3 as well. You get Maguire in the middle of that. Let Bailly and Lindelof, work on either side of him. So when Wan-Bissaka and Telles get forward, we're not seeing the same issues that we were seeing with the positions just getting all pulled out of place. So I'd go with that, and then something you could easily see Fred or McTominay come into either of these 11s for Pogba or Donny van der Beek. But I want to see Van der Beek has to start. I think if anyone comes out of that midfield, it would be Paul Pogba because of the fact that he didn't perform well against Spurs. But personally, I'd go with Van der Beek and Pogba, Bruno ahead of him, Rashford and Greenwood. And I think that team would probably be a little bit stronger and a little bit better defensively and still have those options in attack than the 4-2-3-1. And obviously without a Cavani or a Martial, it allows you to play Rashford and Greenwood up there, and maybe Greenwood's not in the middle as a 9 on his own, where he could find it difficult against the likes of Lascelles and co. So I'd go with that team. But what do you guys think? Let us know in those comments below what you think about the team against Newcastle without Edinson Cavani, without Anthony Martial, with Alex Telles, potentially Facundo Pellistri coming off the bench or even starting, who knows, but he's also available as well. Donny van der Beek's available. Who will be dropped? Let us know in those comments below. Make sure you're keeping it locked to AdamMcKola TV, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing. And for now, I have been Adam. I'm out of here.